Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So first, let me thank you, Alexander, Senior, and Platform Update for invitation. It's a good opportunity to present our ongoing work and discuss the things which are of key importance for our results. Then let me quickly mention that I'm not sick. I'm just lying in the chair, which is called Levels. And I just purchased it to keep lying and flying during the work. So now, brief introduction about myself. I have a pretty interesting history of my, let's say, studies and research from aerospace and air cosmic studies and modeling of cyber-physical systems, as they called now in ETIASA, International Institute for Applied System Studies, sustainable development of biosphere, and so on. So a lot of things related to modeling of complex systems. And when I established the company, it was long ago, in 90, we started various developments, and now we have about 20 professionals beside business, which help us to have salary. We develop research and development because I'm not, I'm still scientist. So we implement intelligent digital twin of big system of systems and have platform for making it quick. It's rapid development of the digital twins. These digital twins actually acts as a virtual assistants of the big systems, which can provide managers and administrators with evaluation of what's going on in the big system. It can be big city, it can be enterprise, it can be actually everything. And because we saw the problems with COVID and all these issues related to aging population and potential market demand, we started applying this platform, Ferris Navigator, to this area. And we developed the solution, which is called virtual assistant. Let's have a prototype. I will quickly demonstrate it. And the idea behind this is to have intimate virtual assistant who is looking continuously after my health, each moment of my life, analyzing each measurement which I can have using smart watches, various variables, various sensors, invasive, non-invasive, whatever I need to wear, analyzing my health status in real time, analyzing the trends, keeping in mind what's going on in the environment where I live, including home or ward in the hospital and so on. And all this stuff we call virtual assistant, which actually helps me to monitor, and my doctors and my medical environment to monitor what are the changes in my life. Because if you remember, when we come to doctors, they may sometimes ask, why you haven't come earlier? This is first. And second, when you come to the doctors, they usually have a queue of people spending 2 or 3 minutes of the time, valuable time, to analyze what's going on without careful analysis of why we came to this problem. So these recommendations sometimes are very much related to psychological status of the processing status and a lot of other things which are behind the health. So what we do, our approach is the following. Humans are humans. We cannot describe our health and all conditions using the graph and chart. We are people communicating to each other. It's 90% of our ability to speak to each other and understand each other. And we cannot interact with charts and graphs. However, we cannot provide a lot of information in speech. We need graph and charts to quickly review the holistic information regarding things which cannot be described. That's why this virtual assistant should speak continuously, presenting the status of health to me in real time, analyzing the trends, analyzing the things which I need to watch, and give me, if necessary, quick review in graphs and charts using multimodal interface, and consider not only my personal health, pulse, blood pressure, and all these vital signs and other things, but environment where I live, including CO2, temperature, humidity, combination of all these things, safety and security in the house, because psychological stress is a very important component. So we want to have virtual assistant analyzing everything which is related to our real life in real time, use so-called artificial intelligence methods. It's a lot of other machine learning and a lot of system science methods to evaluate what's going on now and what may happen in half an hour, 1 hour, next day, or in 1 week. And if necessary, this virtual assistant should be able to communicate quickly. If I fall down and I cannot stand up, it should communicate to my neighbor or my son or a daughter or some other person who can help. So you can see this brief chart behind this system. It's a really big system. It's impossible to tell within 15 minutes about the system, but it has digital twins, multiple millions of digital twins in the cloud, speaking to each person and each associated caregivers. And caregivers can be family, informal and formal, including people in the hospitals, if necessary, if there is, of course, agreement to provide care. So this brings us to the things which you may have a look here. We don't have time to look after our health continuously. It should be done by automatic system, which help to do it and help us to work and do things which we need in our life. And this personal caregiver could do it because automatic, virtual assistant, digital assistant, because it has capacity to continuously automatically measure, analyze, and provide holistic review of our health. And number of people which need assistance in the care grows significantly. There is no human resources sufficient. There are huge costs. And we consider that virtual assistance for everyone is the only way to decrease the cost and provide individual health care to everyone. And this era of SARS-2 era actually proves this situation. So our system runs the cyber biophysical system model and knowledge base, collects biometrics, health living conditions, evaluates and predicts health and well-being status of the whole system, smart human at smart home. It informs master and caregivers about any negative positive trends, provide evidence results and monitoring analytics at any time to authorized people. It's communicating human conversational session, natural languages, and it uses wireless wearables, activity, home sensors, security sensors, and it uses only open source components like known Linux, Postgres, Kafka, machine learning libraries, and so on. So this is our approach. How it works? It works, there is a person which has data about health. Without data, there is no conversation. It's only la, excuse me, but generic conversation without any actual data, evidence. Then this data is collected by various sensors, biometrics. It's sent to the cloud. There it's processed in real time and using machine learning, and then it communicates to the people when it's necessary, or upon request of the person, let's say answering the question, what was my maximum blood pressure last week? And the assistant will tell, yes, it was 185 on Wednesday, 12:13, when you run. And it will be a lot of things related to questions and answers, interactions in conversational language between host, master, human master, and digital twin. We analyze each data stream using machine learning methods, very complex. I wouldn't go in detail because it's really tough. And we come to the conclusions regarding the holistic status of the system. What are the main components? The main components are data sources, which actually present physical processes, biological processes in the system. And then communications with person, because some processes like emotional, psychological status cannot be measured. That's why we use questions and answers, which are used in medical studies to evaluate, to get quantitative identification of particular indicator. So these data are processed with collected and processed in indicator status calculations, analyzed. Then it's produced. There is dialogue produced, implemented. So data regarding indicators and measurements are stored, and conversational natural language generation is sent to mobile devices and smart speakers at home. The system communicates to each speaker when a person goes between the rooms. So this is the thing which is in prototype now. And person can discuss and ask questions virtual twin, and virtual twin, virtual assistant will provide answers using mobile application. This is approach which we pursue. So practical solutions which we already implement is in one project. Each patient in the ward, it's post-operational ward in the hospital. It has diverse heterogeneous wireless IoT devices and linked to diagnostic systems. The model includes 39 data sources, 55 indicators, 51 object statuses. And it runs on the hospital microdata center. And if necessary, the person after discharge can continue being monitored by the system, being at home. So it's extended care, actually. So now how it looks like in real life. This is the prototype of the system, which provides a view of the whole dashboard. It's not for person, it's for doctor. Because person needs a lot of training to get access to all this stuff. So we have the holistic status of the whole system. It's smart human and smart home. And its sub-objects, health, person, sensors, activity. Sensors is technical issue. What the status of the sensors? Activity, environment at home, bathroom, toilet, heart, body. These are objects in the whole system. We can evaluate the status of each object and have events related to changing status. And in the events log below, you can see events. So now let me briefly show you the video, which represents the whole system, how it works. So you can see that we have the report, health at the person, and it has indicators, it has descriptors, it has data elements, it has sensors, video cameras possible if necessary, and constants. So then we go to the particular object report for the whole object, and you see static you see the report regarding heart. Heart has properties descriptors. It has a lot of indicators. You can see indicators related to pulse, average pulse per 10 minutes, number of patient pulse per hour, minimum patient pulse per hour, and a lot. Blood pressure is a lot. There are many indicators. They all use measurements from healthcare bracelet, which is wireless. Then all these indicators are calculated in real time, and each status of each indicator is analyzed using machine learning methods. And it can have a lot of consequences because we get the status of the whole object related to change of the, yes, this is example how it's calculated, the pulse during the day. It's analyzed, and any trends are extracted and predicted and can be and the caregivers can be informed. So it's done using logical processors which are running real time for all indicators in the system. So now the same thing for another indicator. It's pulse, yes, high pulse, low pulse analysis. And then we have history of change. History of change allows quick analysis of what's happened in the previous time. Red means there is a problem. Blue means everything is normal. So all parameters are acceptable. We call it acceptable variations within the acceptable variations range. And any deficient status can be quickly analyzed. For example, here you can see that minimum pulse per hour is not is outside of acceptable variations. So it's easy to analyze what happens and see the graph and chart and analysis in detail. So this is a very brief introduction. This is a widget for analysis of change for the health and person. You can see the situations and moments in time per day that there was a temperature of patient was outside acceptable variation, probably there was cold, and it's immediately seen, and that digital twin can inform the person. Say, hi, you have increasing temperature. What's going on? And there are a lot of optional interpretation of the situation. So this is very brief introduction. I can go in a lot in detail, but idea is that it works. And we face, of course, the challenges which already Bas mentioned, the same. And one of the main is radical change of human psychological perception. There were no personal, intimate, virtual health assistant in the human history. So it's actually like spy, but it's very friendly style. It's my personal virtual assistant, which helped me to go through life, have longevity, quality of life, and health. Then we have, of course, various difficulties in development personalized conversational interactions, because personal interactions are very, very delicate issue. We have a lot of work with this. Then there are multiple languages. In Europe, we need to address a lot of languages and cultural specific in conversational languages, because in family we speak in different language than we speak officially. Then, of course, forming the health and well-being knowledge base, because the system interprets the statuses of the health using data collected from the internet. And of course, there is inertia and conservative in medical community. It's not easy to, I spoke with many doctors, they don't believe that this thing will work. Many of them think that only doctors and human interactions can help people. And then we need to learn health and well-being properties of an individual AI and provide a reliable automatic interpretation using medical knowledge base. Of course, it's necessary to have reliable partner networks who install the system in houses, train people, and maintain it in different regions. Then there is, of course, multiple legal issues and GDPR. And so there are a lot of challenges. So now let me finish that this is ongoing work. We have prototype running. It speaks already, of course, with deficiencies, but we see the future, definitely. We think about business model to provide services within 2 years for 35 euro per month subscription, like cellular phone for everyone. And we look forward for partnership in forthcoming projects in European calls, healthcare, state health, environmental health, and so on. So yeah, I'll be happy to collaborate, to discuss collaboration with all people who may be interested. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much for a really comprehensive and interesting presentation, Sergey. Are there any questions from the participants and from the audience? If there are no such, let's move forward with our interesting event. The next session will be dedicated to two successful developers of technology for active and healthy aging and their experience with open platform services. The very first presenter is Gregor Molan from Comtrade 360. Gregor, the floor is yours.
Hello, thanks a lot for allowing me to have this presentation. It's a classical hello statement in 21st century. It means, can you see me? Can you hear me? I hope that it is now okay.
Yes, I can see and hear you.
Yeah, okay, fine. I'm Gregor Molan. I'm coming from Comtrade 360, and I will try to highlight how we do software development in a Comtrade 360 way for a special item, for a special place that we are doing software for Vinci project. Here is the short overview what I will talk about, and about Comtrade. We are now about 300 developers with history of almost 30 years of software development. We had more than 2,000 developers, but our owners sold part of our company. So now we are only 300. So our general software development process is that first item is time to market, and at the end is user interface excellence. But in this way, when we are developing software for active and assistive living, we have to change. We have to put user interface on the top and development cost on the bottom. It means that we have to treat software development for this area like kind of investment, not as a profit first project. So when I would like to present this like a webinar, how we suggest to do software development in a way how we did it for this Vinci project. So our software product development cycle model consists of inputs and functionalities, and requirements influences on support functionalities, and then to core functionalities, to edge functionalities, and at the end to the value of software product. For Vinci, we have requirements such as quality of life, activities of people, and at the end we have to provide software for smartphone, for smartwatch, and for caregivers, and we have to take care to have as high as possible end value of the project of this project. And when we apply this our software product development cycle model, we get weights for these requirements, and at the end we find out that that at the end we can get if everything goes completely smooth, we will get 90% of what we want to have, just because the model of software development. So we started software development, Vinci backend development. It was based on our partners, and it is designed, and I can suggest to design backend as Docker, as Docker containers, as microservices, and with backend that has built-in dashboard. But in our case, when you find out that when you come here, you see cloud has the highest weight. We have to split user interface from backend. Our Vinci front-end development is organized that we started with Windows flowchart. It means how each each user interface is connected to other windows. Then we have to provide design of windows and features, and we have to provide development environment for both smartphones, for iOS and for Android. And there are different pathways of software developments. It means that we can develop it from scratch. We can modify our previous product, or we can upgrade something that we got from partners. And in this Vinci development project, we developed front end from scratch and back end as an upgrade of our partners' work. And as we saw, for front end, it is very important to have quality user interface. It means that we have to have good graphics. In this project, we invested quite a lot. We included graphical designers, and we included architects to provide completely new icons and special colors that is good or the best for older people. And it is very important that user interface is localized to local language. It means that we have to take care not to complicate user interface with English language for end user that is not English their native language. Here I have a short example how it works, and later on you can check it. I think we don't have time now to go through, because I would like to have time for your questions, but we can go on. I will simply skip this. So when we saw at the beginning, there is on the top is user interface, and during software development we start with requirements, and then a software design, software development, marketing, selling, and so on. And we often forget to support. and in this case, we have to provide support like supporting new features, support bug fixing, and support in a way that we have to provide new product that is influenced by changes on the market, and all of these support items are influenced by feedback from our customers. So I tried to be extremely fast, and because we are already late, and now I'm asking if it is possible to allow me to answer some of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Gregor, for the really concise presentation. Are there any questions from the audience or the participants?
I'm sorry, but I don't see now. I am not able to check your if someone did something on our post.
You mean the chat? The
Chat,
option?
yes.
I'm looking at the chat, and I will let you know if there is a question
Thank
coming.
you.
Meanwhile, I would like to ask you, since your company took over the platform which was developed by the Vinci project, were there any difficulties regarding the integration of your solutions into this platform? Could you please share your experience? Were there any challenges to overcome in the technical implementation, in the promotion?
Yes, of course. Thank you for this question. It is a very good question, because in this project, like in many other projects, it is a mixture of companies like our Comtrade, and we call it academia, and there are completely different ways how software is developed, how the way how we design it, and there were some very good points. We find out something like some new ways how we can do it, but at the end we find out that our software development is on a really high level, because we have to take care to follow what is new on the area of algorithms, of software development and tools and everything. Because if company come on the market with old technology, it is impossible to survive. I hope that I provided some kind of useful answer.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the answer.
Can I conclude for your answer that you have got the same feeling that the thing that you took over from the project was mainly designed to fulfill the project needs and not so much the needs of continuing the platform after the project period?
Thank you. It is very, very clever question. Personally, my first conclusion was completely the same. But now at the end, when we are finishing it, I'm sure that we will be able to upgrade what we did in this project and provide something new. It means completely new software product for our company, and I hope that we will be able to do it. But it is very far from trivial task.
Yeah, thank you for your honest answer, and yeah, see the same. See the same things happening. If I look at projects where we were into, you're still quite far from market after after project's finished. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, but in this case, we did quite big investment in this user interface design. It was because we want to provide a product that with relatively small modifications, and that's why we did very good design.
Yeah, you will earn that back.
All right, Buzz. Thank you, Gregor. If there are no questions for Gregor, we move forward with the next presentation. I'll share this time the presentation from my side. All right, so the next presentation will be held by Caretronic from Slovenia, another successful company in the area of active and healthy aging. The floor is yours.
Hello everyone. My name is Simona. I'm the Research and Development Project Manager in company Caretronic, and I will have today's presentation instead of my colleague Evelyn. So maybe if you can just put the next slide. So yeah, company Caretronic, we are based in Slovenia. This is a small country with 2 million people. We are the developer and manufacturer of the most advanced information communication solutions for the healthcare market. We have been established in 1991 with roots in the 60s, and also we have references all over the world. Solutions are installed in nursing homes, hospitals, and other healthcare institutions, with more than 100,000 users in more than 30 international markets. So it's quite a large network, I would say. We also received the ISO certificate and gold credit worthiness AAA certificate that we are among top of 7% companies in Slovenia. And what I think that is important, that our system corresponds to all high security standards for the emergency call, for the nurse call system. That this is short description of Caretronic, so that you know what we do, what is our aim. The next slide. We actually developed the smart home tab system for the independent living. I suggest to play a video about the home tab system so that you can see what is the product about.
All right, let me just share the screen with you.
Nobody wants to be a burden, but illness or old age make it harder to live an independent life. When even a harmless fall can be dangerous, it's easy to worry about leaving our loved ones living alone, especially when we can't take care of them full-time. HomeTab Solution is an intelligent communication system for elderly people living alone at home or assisted living facilities. The core of the system is HomeTab, an advanced touchscreen device with a clear interface featuring big, colorful buttons, specially adapted for users with little technical skills. In combination with the new generation of our wireless sensors, it ensures that we always know what the elderly needs. Whatever happens, elderly people can use it to call for immediate help. The call is routed either to a relative, a call center, or a nearby nursing home. With our wireless hand transmitter, elderly can feel even safer. It automatically calls for help the moment it detects a fall. The elderly are checked if they are okay and assisted with additional help when needed. It's important to have a routine. Our integrated pill dispenser reminds the elderly every day so they never forget to take their medication. HomeTab is wirelessly connected to various monitors like a glucose meter, a pulse oximeter, a heart rate monitor, or a blood pressure monitor. The moment the readings are abnormal, formal or informal caregivers are notified. A lot of different people might take care of the patient. With HomeTab, they can all share the same patient data. With a list of pending tasks, no procedure is ever missed, while all completed tasks are systematically recorded into patient history. In addition to controlling the lights, heating, and curtains of a smart house, it's also used for service calls like cleaning and food delivery. An integrated calendar makes sure elderly never miss a doctor's appointment or overlook a grandchild's birthday. With the help of voice recognition, elderly can call for help or video call relatives. They are also asked every morning if they feel fine, and their caregivers are immediately notified if something is wrong. Enrich independent living with HomeTab solution. Increase security of elderly, release burden of their relatives, and improve the level of elderly care with a specially designed modern solution.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
I'll go back to
Yeah,
the
please to the
presentation.
presentation. Yeah, I didn't know that there was no voice, so I pasted the link for the YouTube. You can see it or on your own on our channel. So smart home tab system for independent. This is the product for independent living. It is an advanced IP touchscreen care phone. It has a friendly user interface, specially adapted for the usage of the elderly and those with less technological skills. This is why it comes with a big, bright touchscreen buttons in a different colors, and it's easy to understand. So let technology be a helper, not an obstacle. As I said, the user interface is specially adopted for elderly. It has bleak, clear, colorful bottom, adjustable volume. It's easy to use and manage, and of course, it has a mobile connection outside of the home. The next screen. Also, it has also it's possible to call the relatives because nowadays the elderly encounters, especially the social isolation in these COVID times. They are kind of social. They are kind of isolated, and HomeTab helps or you can call the relatives and your friends by the care phone. Next screen. Also, it has reminders to take the medications at the right time. Gives a reminders about the doctor's appointments, and never forget about the upcoming birthdays of the relatives. So HomeTab device enables calendar and reminders functions. It's easy to insert an event into the calendar and set reminder for it. Then the reminder is shown as a pop-up message on the screen. Next slide. As this is HomeTab is system for independent living, so it's also integrated with automatic pill dispenser, so the person never forget taking the right medication. And there is also a visual and audio alert for the user and caregiver. We also didn't forget for the for every day to be fun and motivational. There are challenging games and that are beneficial for cognitive health, and can be played for the main home tabs from the main home tab screen. Next slide. It's also possible monitoring vital signs with the integrated blood pressure and heart rate, blood sugar, body temperature, and SpO2. Automatic wireless transmission of vital signs measurements to the home tab device enables continuous monitoring and gives alert to the caregivers when a value requires immediate attention. So if anyone has a question or something, just pop up and I will be happy to answer. If I continue, also the services can be documented in a fast and easy and well-organized way. So Home tab enables electronic documentation of all services done at home of the elderly, from healthcare services to cleaning, housekeeping, and so on. The services can be also synchronized with the existing care documentation system if applicable. This leads to more effective care documentation and release of bureaucratic burden of professional caregivers. Okay, movie, we have seen it. I also pasted the link. The platform we use is nurse log management software. It is integrated system. We also have, so the Home tab solution is part of our product range. We already have on the market other healthcare solutions, so this is just one of our products that clearly fits for the elderly people. And we have developed this solution with how should I say, there was a demand on the market, and we developed the Home tab with the end users, with inquiries from the market, with the need from the market. Also further development with the support of EU research projects such as AAL, EIT Health, Eureka, and so on. And we also developed the customized solution for the specific customers because every region or every country have some different needs, and we also develop in this way to fit their needs. Yeah, I would take this opportunity to contact me as a research and development project as a project manager. We are part of many EU-funded projects as a partner, and also to some of the coordinators. So maybe we can find the synergies and find the cause that and collaborate in the future together. So I will write my email here in the chat, and feel free to contact me and to set up a meeting with me, or with of course with Caretronic, and maybe we can discuss about further opportunities on the market or in the EU segment. So that's from my side. If you have any questions, yes, contact me or just ask.
There's one question for you in the chat, Simona. From Luke, he's asking, does your solution connect to open platform or platforms,
Yes.
or is it a standalone solution?
No, it connects. It connects to different ones.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from our audience?
Yeah, I would like, well, it's a bit of a comment and a bit of a question, I guess, and it relates to what both Luc and Bas were asking in the chat indeed about the connection with an open platform, or what open platform was used. One of the things we're encountering a lot in the work of the project is indeed that there's not always that strict division between a platform or separate or independent platform, which is then being used by a solution or product provider or developer or manufacturer to integrate their devices and sensors and so on, but that it's actually the same company, the same organization, sort of doing both, or a bit of both, where they have their platform and then integrate or build an end user solution on that platform. I think, yeah, your company, Caretronic, and the Smart Home tab and your other solutions are a bit of an example of this, if we understood it well. Maybe one question is from my side then is around let's say the integration or the use of the various vital signs monitors or sensors that could be placed in an older person's home to monitor falls, etc. Is that something where, yeah, you work or you use or you suggest external products from other manufacturers, like blood pressure monitors, like other types of vital signs monitors, etc. And in that sense, that it's, you know, that your solution and your platform are open and that it's easy to integrate or to sort of plug and play with products, devices, medical devices, monitoring devices from external providers, external companies.
Yes, with external ones, with off-the-shelf products. I wouldn't say with all of them, but with some.
Okay, so yeah, so it may still relate to certain technical standards or abilities of or sort of interoperability between what you have on the software side and the platform side, and then how these products are developed and manufactured. But of course, I leave it open now to Luke, Bas, and all the others to go even more in depth on this if you want to.
Yeah, and also it's possible to integrate with different smart home platforms also already on the market. So, and with the different devices on off the shelf.
One question from me, Simona.
Yeah.
Based on your very first slides, your company is internationally represented. When you think about selling your products to different markets, because you're not only present in Europe, but also in Australia and other continents, would you consider the European market a bit more difficult for you to sell your products, to promote your products, for example, in comparison to Australia or to some other countries?
Yeah, for this domain, yes, I would say that in Europe it's a little bit more difficult. It's easier to sell in Australia or in New Zealand, especially the solutions for the elderly, for that kind of solutions. Yeah. Yeah, but every region, every country, they have their obstacles, and especially in Europe, I think there is a lot of issues with the GDPR, and because Europe is quite strict on that, I don't see that Australia is so much as Europe, but this is just my opinion. But yeah, I would say that every country, every region, it's different and depends. It really depends.
Thank you. I see that Bas has asked a question in the chat. He's asking what open platform was used to create this solution with.
Actually, I would need to ask this my colleague Evelyn, and if you please leave your email here, and we will reply to you. Thank you.
All right. So if there are no other questions, I would like to thank to Gregor and Evelyn for the very interesting insights, information on their solutions. We have already arrived successfully at our last session for today's webinar, which is dedicated to some really exciting projects funded by the EU, aiming at the development and deployment of open platforms in the active and healthy aging and ambient assisted living domains. The session will start with a presentation on a Gatekeeper project. Ioana, would you like me to share the slides for you?
No, I can share them myself. Thank you very much.
All right.
Hello to all. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Okay. So hello to all. My name is Ioana Drimbeta. I work in the Information Technologies Institute of CERT, and we are a member of the Gatekeeper Consortium. Thank you very much for the invitation to present our work here. Gatekeeper project is the flagship project of the European Union to foster large-scale deployment of digital solutions, mainly for AI and big data in the healthcare domain. As our four main pillars, we have the ecosystem. We would like to build an ecosystem of solutions and stakeholders from business, from healthcare, and from technical providers. We are paying close attention to the standards and compiling with the latest of them, developing a platform. And we also have in our project pilots, large-scale pilots, that will take advantage of the platform. So the two main arches of Gatekeeper are innovation. It is an innovation action, and we would like to reach a larger community of stakeholders. So as a necessity identified is the large-scale deployment of integrated digital solutions, which will improve the quality of life of citizens and also demonstrate efficiency gains in health and care delivery across Europe. For this, there is also a relevant publication about reference platforms from our consortium. And it is important to note that Gatekeeper will be a highly innovative platform for personalized solutions, which was mentioned earlier as a very important aspect, focusing on risk detection and early intervention on chronic diseases, but also guaranteeing data protection and providing interoperability. This is the general vision we have for our platform, building on trust and security, and fostering large-scale deployment of integrated digital solutions. We built this using the standards that you can see here and technologies, which we can elaborate on a bit later. Just to give an example, it is FHIR. To model the healthcare domain, we're using SAREF SNOW methodologies for the semantics, and Web of Things for standards. We are also building security and privacy by design using blockchain. And we have built AI models, which will go on with incorporating into the platform. Being an open platform was a requirement for Gatekeeper from the beginning, and that is why we're using so many open standards, both for data description and for services. And also our components are open source or free to use. As a way to list the benefits for stakeholders, I thought of presenting the technologies that we have in Gatekeeper. And I will start from the Gatekeeper Trust Authority component, which is the component of our platform for secure data sharing and for trusted transactions. The first important aspect of it is logging of the actions in an immutable way. This is done based on smart contracts. and ensures transparency and auditability, so that in case providers and consumers have a conflict, it will be the resolution will be facilitated, and also allowing for billing during the things exchange. We also are building a dynamic consent mechanism for that. It is called Trusted Things Sharing. And we are compliant with the International Data Spaces Association, IDSA, both with the clearinghouse and with the dynamic attribute provisioning specifications. Other than that, it is important to note that the Gatekeeper Trust Authority has a validation mechanism which allows moderating and publishing content only if it is compliant with the standards we are following and the European regulations. That includes, of course, GDPR, but also MDR for medical devices and the Web Accessibility Directive. And after successful validation, we move on with certifying the things. This is also blockchain-based with the Hyperledger Fabric as core technology. And it's based on a public infrastructure. The organizations in the network, which are parts of the Gatekeeper Consortium, run their own certificate authorities for this region. And also the Trust Authority is used for the user management, provides a user management module based on Keycloak, which provides authentication for the users. Another very important aspect of our platform is the marketplace. This marketplace has, as a starting point, a very diverse list of offerings that includes devices, apps, services, and data sets. It also ensures data sovereignty. It is a decentralized solution, taking advantage of the components presented earlier, the Trust Authority, to give the user full control over their data at any time. And its functions fully support the transaction flows in the Gatekeeper spaces that we can see in the image below. This is in the aim of creating a value-based healthcare ecosystem. So we have the healthcare space, which includes the healthcare national, regional, or local agencies, and also healthcare operators, hospitals, but at the same time, consumers, both patients and their caregivers, and at the same time, technical providers who would like to participate in all these transactions. And for this reason, we are building an open and trust-based marketplace in order to match the needs of all stakeholders and match also technologies and processes. The marketplace features dynamic consent capabilities, which are compliant with IDSA again. And the things that are released into the marketplace are compliant with the Web of Things, FHIR, ISO standards, web accessibility, and also more standards. This is to show how our marketplace is beyond the state of the art. And I will move on to also share with you that we are building workbench testing capabilities, both of things and services, using sample data and of data sets with several functions. We also, through the marketplace, support datathon organization and participation. So for any stakeholder that would like to participate from both sides of a datathon. And another innovative feature is the intelligent discovery mechanism using a hybrid similarity method. And this way, a user can find the best matches and is suggested with various alternatives for purchasing products. Moving on with the AI, which is a core feature of our platform. It aims at early detection and intervention, and it is an asset that the Gatekeeper pilots are all going to use and take advantage of. Gatekeeper aims at building services for the early detection and intervention through these technologies, includes a big data service and infrastructure. And in this way, we aim to reduce time spending in cleaning and processing data which is usually the 80% of the time spent in such a pipeline. Also, we are offering the guarantee that data owners can share their data while it is also private. Each pilot has a specific tenant for this reason. And at the same time, we're enabling a collaborative environment for AI training and for service validation and optimizing any data sharing that is to happen. But this data sharing will happen only for anonymized data. Sorry. Okay. Moving on now to the standards we are complying with. The first and very important is FHIR, which is a common logical data model across all the platform components and pilot applications that we have. It provides semantic context for what we call the Gatekeeper healthcare data space, which includes the data from the pilots. We are using also FHIR extensions that bring novel data within the data space that do not already have a native representation. And this includes surveys, wearable device data, IoT devices from the device providers and the technology providers that are members of the consortium. FHIR is important because it includes standard vocabularies and terminologies, for instance, SNOMED-CT and LOIG. And it is important to note that FHIR is not just a specification, it is mainly a community. So being open source, anyone can take advantage of what it offers in the aim of interoperability, of course. We're also using Web of Things by W3C for the thing description information model and the JSON LD contexts. With those contexts, Gatekeeper is able to check the compliance of thing description and specific semantic contexts of interest. These include the FHIR mentioned earlier, HTTP, European Data Space Compliance, IDSA Policy Management Protocol, medical device regulation, and many more. All these technologies are combined into the Gatekeeper architecture, which we can see here represented. You can see how any external app is supported, for instance, our pilot apps, and also how the device data can be integrated into the system through the connectors that we offer. At the same time, we can see the AI reasoning framework, which has already designed the models for the AI and will later be fed with data from the pilots to extract results. And for developers, the most important thing is the app management portal and the learning portal, and the marketplace for anyone who would like to become a provider or consumer of things. In order to better show how Gatekeeper will work, we provide this example of AI. We can see that physical data, of course, kept private to each pilot for GDPR reasons. And this affects how the platform is deployed in the pilots and how the data is fed to the big data suite instances. It is important to note that we're moving models, if you can see, instead of just data. And we have a fully featured AI service, which is available for all the pilots. And another example we can see is that of the integration of a pilot into the Gatekeeper platform. So we can see that there are front-end applications, external applications used by end users, such as the healthcare team, the patients and the caregivers, and of course the researchers. These end users use applications such as a dashboard, a mobile app, or a Samsung Health app, because Samsung is a member of our consortium. And the data goes, we can see the data coming from the backend applications, which are connected. The backend applications are connected with the Gatekeeper components through AI. These include the data federation, which is the server, and also the authoring tool, which provides dashboards. And the data is fed into the models for AI. Devices can also be integrated, and we have a large list of devices for this reason through gateways in this example. For anyone that would like to use Gatekeeper, they might need to do some customization or harmonization, depending on the technology they are already using. For instance, they will need to have the data model in Fire or check with us in order to see how we can transform it. And also, there are devices that are better supported, such as the ones from Samsung, Medisante, or Biobit. But also more devices can be supported at integrator level. So from the integrator part. But it is important to note that we have created the developer portal, which is the entry point for accessibility of all resources, and contains all necessary information for any developer who would like to work with us and on Gatekeeper. And that includes videos and documentation containing everything necessary. As our next steps and planned actions, all the pilots of the project will be using the Gatekeeper platform by the end of this month. So our main focus is on integration right now. Right afterwards, we will focus on the AI system building and feeding the algorithms with data from the pilots, and also on the integration of open callers of our project who are providing services, and some of them are also pilots. It is important for us to create a network effect and get in touch with all stakeholders. For this reason, we have here the website of our project, gatekeeperproject.eu, and you can also contact us at the email address of our coordinator, which is here. At this point, I'd be glad to answer if you have questions on our project, and thank you very much for paying attention.
Thank you for the comprehensive, informative presentation. There are two questions in the chat option, so I'll go straight to the first one coming from Bas. How do you combine the concepts of central trust through a certificate authority and decentralized trust using blockchain? Normally, either one is used.
The certification authority is indeed based on blockchain. We have the members of who can provide who act as certification authorities are members of our consortium, specific organizations, and there is also a given policy decided beforehand that they operate on.
So what then is the added value of having the blockchain if you are providing trust through your certificate authorities?
The added value is that we have logging of everything, and it is also based on chain code.
On
chain code.
Mm-hmm.
If you could give me your email, we can send you more information with someone who is particularly working on this. If you'd like.
Indeed, because if you have central trust, you could just sign your transactions and you don't need blockchain. So mostly blockchain is a way to prevent central trust. So that's why I asked my question. Mm-hmm. I'll give you my email address. It's already somewhere in the chat, but I'll post it again.
Great, thank you. So that you can have a very specific answer on that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Bas. There is another question coming from Andre Esther. Which datasets are made available via the marketplace, and which kind of use is offered?
For the datasets, any provider is allowed to upload a dataset in the marketplace. As a project, we are planning. The initial plan is to release anonymized datasets from the pilots after the end of the project. But even before that, any end user can upload datasets in the marketplace. 。
Thank you, Bas. There is another question coming from Andre Esther. Which datasets are made available via the marketplace, and which kind of use is offered? For any provider is allowed to release anonymized datasets from the pilots after the end of the project. But even before that, any end user can upload datasets in the marketplace.
For the kind of use, to cover all parts of the question, we will have a dynamic consent to check how things are used. So also datasets will be how datasets will be used. And this will be based on specific attributes, in case the person who requests the datasets already complies with these attributes. There will be a consent in an asynchronous way. Otherwise, the thing provider, the dataset provider in this case, will accept or reject providing their data to the requester.
Thank you.
All right, and there is one last third question coming from Luke. For the ML, which data have been used to train the algorithms?
So far, the algorithms have not been trained unless one of our technical providers is using something they have already worked on. But we will get data from the pilots, and we have already decided on the models that we are going to use in order to train the algorithms, and then in most of the cases also take advantage of them during the pilot running phase.
Thank you, Yana. But my question is that we know that in a project life cycle, this is extremely challenging. To collect the data to train your algorithms while you are developing the pilot. So, but anyway, it's just a remark. I just say that, and I mean, in an ideal world, actually, you should be able to either collect the data in a different way before the data, so that you have an initial training, or be able to connect to data providers, which provide already some of the data. But it's just a remark, yeah. But
it actually depends on the case of each model and each partner who is working on the AI analysis and the machine learning analysis of its case. So, and most of them, of course, all of them are actually very experienced in the field. So they already have developed similar algorithms or models before, but they will further train them or extend their functionalities in this way using data from the pilots, because the Gatekeeper is a large-scale pilot, so we will have lots of data at a very close point. Because this is, of course, what you are mentioning is very important.
What is the scale of the pilot, if I might ask?
We have 11 pilots. The largest of them have, I think, 10,000 participants.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Joanna, can I ask a question? How you deal with GDPR and the CC with 10,000?
Each pilot has prepared their GDPR documents, and what we have taken as an important measure is that each pilot has their data kept separately in the infrastructure. It is called tenants in OKD, the concept. So only partners being approved by the pilots and being decided beforehand by the pilots have access to this data.
And what's about quality of data?
About quality of data, first it is an aspect to be taken care of by the pilots. So they are checking what they are collecting and if everything is collected as in the study protocol. And then by the pilot technical representatives, who are data processors on behalf of the pilot, who have specific technical and organizational measures to check that data quality is preserved.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, if there are no other questions for Joanna, thank you very much for the really nice presentations. We move to our next presentation, which is on a really interesting EU-Japan initiative, also with regard to the development of an open platform in the field. Lawrence, would you like me to share the presentation from my side?
If I can, I would like to share my own. If it works, I don't know how.
There's a share button below the screen.
Yeah, and then it says to open the system preference.
Then you can choose your presentation.
I can't. It says open system preference. I think I have to
You managed to find the button?
But I had to restart the WebEx, so that was a little bit difficult.
Now it's working fine. Now we can see your presentation. Perfect.
Okay.
Just correct, please. Almost.
All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, so excuse me for the trouble, and welcome everybody. And I feel a little bit like giving a talk at a wedding, one of the last talks when everything was already said, and I have to present something pretty similar. So Sergey already mentioned the digital twin, and we are also going into the same direction. But it's still a pleasure for me to present our project. So the project is called EVITA, EU-Japan Virtual Coach for Smart Aging. I'm working at the Tohoku University, which is about 350 kilometers north of Tokyo. And Tohoku University is one of the 3 designated national universities, and especially well known for practice orientation. And as such, we are heading this project in Japan. Our Institute for Development, Aging and Cancer was already founded in 1941, and in 2006 we started to deal with smart aging. The basis is brain analysis, and we have one of the biggest databases for that. On the right side you see our new building, and here in the middle you see the 4 institute buildings, and the flat building here in the middle is actually all the technical equipment. We have our main competence actually in human brain images and looking at correlations between the brain and between what you are doing. And the main goal is to fight dementia, and we look at things that are good and positive for that. As such, we are heading the Japanese part of Evita project. Altogether, we have 22 people, several institutes and institutions in Europe, in Germany. We also have Belgium, France, and Italy as partners. And in Japan, we have another 11 institutions, so different universities, 3 universities we have, but also companies making devices. We have AIST, Japanese National Institute for Advanced Industrial Science and Technology, which runs Japan's biggest AI research center and is also a big part of the project. So what are the objectives of our project? Excuse me that I drink, but it's already 10 o'clock in the night, and I'm listening already 4 hours to our workshop. So I hope everybody else is fit and can still follow me. So what we want to do actually is develop standards for norms and interoperability, especially looking at Europe and Japan. Also, we would like to develop an advanced intercultural virtual coach, and looking at the specialities, of course, in different countries. Even in Europe, there are big differences between elderly people, actually, and how they live and how they are taken care of. We would like to enable smart living support and tailored interventions for physical, cognitive, emotional, social well-being. The objective 4 is actually practice-based ICT tools to empower older adults, so not making a complicated device that nobody will use. We will do proof of concept studies and also explore feasibility of new ecosystem for disruptive innovations of coaching older adults. The system overview is we have our elderly person, we have our virtual coach, and we have also community coaches, and the virtual coach, of course, looks at many data that is collected. So what we have seen before, collecting data, processing data, is also a very important topic. The functionality areas actually that we are looking on is physical activity, risk avoidance, but also spirituality, things that old people want and are looking for, but also social networking, which is very important. The cognitive function of people has to be kept well going, and leisure and wellness is a big topic. So this is a little bit what the functionality tries to support. We use, of course, artificial intelligence. We have a dialogue system, and either the elderly gets feedback from the virtual coach, or it can also be through some community coach. The technical architecture is a little bit more complicated. We are looking at culture-specific and individual user practices. So looking into the different aspects of smart living and well-being. We will use different interfaces or tools, so that can be even holograms or can be robots, humanoids, but also we have some spiritual objects and smart devices, like your smartphone or some special device to collect brain activity functions. We then actually look at the interoperability between those different aspects, and then we have the big area of AI with data processing, data gathering, and the dialogue system, and then we have to take care of the data. Actually, we have to take care of also the security aspects and try to work this out between even different cultures like Japan and Europe. The main function is the dialogue system with its different components. We need natural language understanding. We need semantic question answering. And of course, we have to put the information into knowledge graphs. We need a dialogue manager, and like that, basically, the whole system is built upon open platform like Fireware system. And we are currently in the stage of looking actually at the different technologies that we need to fulfill the system. These are the different devices, the intelligent devices that we use. So the robot now is very popular and communicates and has gestures. Member of our consortium is actually Gatebox that makes this hologram, which is very cute lady that also moves and also communicates. We have these two religious devices, Daruma. This is more looking into Japanese and Buddhistic culture, or this Christian device, Santo. We have real androids, and we have different devices to measure the brain activity. Our idea is multi-stakeholder approach for ICT utilization by older adults. So we want to integrate actually the community, the industry, and also university in the way that older adults have to interact with the community. The industry has to offer products that are enjoyable and usable by older adults. And even the university can be a place where older people can still give educational support, or also the techniques needed can be taught to people that work with older adults. So it's a holistic approach to creating a virtual coach for smart aging. The project impact should be independent living and improved quality of life of older persons, usefulness and effectiveness of personalized recommendations and follow-up in terms of goals of preserving physical, cognitive, mental, and social well-being as long as possible, and also independent of where you live. We want evidence of user-centered design and innovation and effective ways of human-computer interaction and user acceptance. So the goal is really to see what is acceptable by elderly people, and we currently do our tests in Living Lab, which we set up in Japan, and we confront elderly people with the different devices and try to learn what they actually appreciate. So also fostering social participation and reducing social exclusions risks of older adults is an important part. Then validation of non-obtrusive technology for physical, cognitive, social, and mental well-being. And finally, strengthening international cooperation in research and innovation for smart living. Yeah, that was a brief presentation of our project. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Laurent, for the concise overview of your really interesting project. I go straight to the questions. There's one question in the chat option coming from Luke. He's asking, did you build a specific ontology for your platform?
We are currently setting up the ontology. This is done by the ARST, Artificial Intelligence Institute. I don't know too many details about this, but if he's very interested specifically, I'm happy to answer also questions, maybe by email or so.
Thank you. I have one specific question regarding Fireware. As you know, Fireware is one of our main platforms that we analyze. Therefore, we're really curious to learn more about your experience with these platform services. Why and how did you choose this platform? How did you learn about the existing of Fireware?
Yeah. Basically, one of our partners in Italy knew about Fireware and started, but the whole project just started half a year ago, so we are not yet up to date with the whole realization of all the applications. So, but I can also link you with the guy who is working on that. So one reason was Fireware is open source platform, and that's why it was chosen. But if maybe you have more specific questions, I have to link you to the person.
It'd be really nice and helpful if we can get in touch with your talent partner. And you never know, maybe you could also present a testimonial or something more about your work with Fireware in our final project event that will be planned within the next weeks and months. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
There is another question from Luke. Could be interesting to organize a bilateral workshop between Evita and VCare in 2020, next year.
Yeah, definitely. We want to have also the first prototype ready next year. So then maybe we could really talk more about it, how it's working and how it will look like.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Lawrence?
Very briefly, can I ask? Yeah,
of course.
Lawrence, it's really a good systemic, comprehensive approach. Interesting to hear this. It's really very interesting. But because you have very short time for presentation, I haven't got the picture. Can you please very briefly explain how the biometrics are measured related to mental and psychological health in real time? Let's say I imagine there is a crowd of people in the hall full of sensors in the head. Is it correct?
Yeah, we are just starting with the different measurement tools. So we have a special brain function measurement tool from a company NEU that is also a member in our consortium. One other device from European partner. I cannot tell you much about that because at Tohoku University, we are now just starting. Actually, we started just 4 weeks ago with the living lab and interaction between people that we invite, so older people that we invite, and our interface tools like the robots and humanoids and so on. So we have not yet started measuring any physical physical measurement. But maybe also maybe you can also write me a mail, and I can maybe link you with the group who is starting that kind of measurement.
Thank you. I cannot attempt not to ask you another question. You obviously are from Europe. Is there any serious difference between cultural attitude toward this participation in these scientific games by the end users in Europe compared to Japan?
Yeah, we have not yet so many differences, but looking at elderly people, of course, there are some differences. For example, looking at robots, Japanese people more see a robot as a companion, whereas European people more see it as a technical device. And this, I think, is a big difference in collaborating with such with robots, for example, as devices. And the other differences are, of course, more into detail of the specific country. For example, Japanese men are very lonely when they are old because the friendship is more defined by the company. So after they retire, basically they don't have any more, not much friends anymore, and usually no hobbies and so on. But this might also, I don't know actually the appropriate thing in Germany or in Europe. So maybe there are also similar effects, maybe in cities, I don't know. So that will be quite interesting. So we are looking a lot into such kind of topics, but that has just started in Japan. Really, just 4 weeks ago, we opened this living lab and had the first people we interviewed, and that was really interesting.
Thank you very
also
much.
maybe next year I can talk more about that.
Just a small remark. I was in the FP7 project Companionable, where we did companion robots in all the people's homes in Europe, different countries. And what we noticed is that within a week, the robot would have a name and would be considered a companion. So yeah, it seems to. I know Japanese are a bit more open to it, probably, but it seems to work in Europe as well.
Okay, yeah, probably. So we haven't. I haven't got any results from our laboratories in Europe so far, but could be.
Great, good to hear from you.
Do we have a final discussion, or?
We will keep up to our presentations. There are 2 more presentations.
Okay.
Two
all right.
interesting new projects, and at the very end, we will have a really concise overview and final remarks. And because we're running already a bit of time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron, for your contribution and for the very interesting input. So let's move forward with our presentations. The next project that will be presented is a tender project, and more information on that initiative will be provided by Nicolas Fretos. Nicolas, the floor is yours.
Okay, I think I will share my screen because, to be honest, I changed a bit the presentation. So,
all right.
I hope you see my screen.
Yes.
So First of all, thank you for the invitation. I found all the discussion very useful, also in our line of work. Tender project is Horizon 2020 funded project on large-scale pilot in health. My name is Nicholas Vretos. I'm the technical coordinator of the project. Now, what Tender is trying to do is actually to create an integrated care ecosystem. And we are actually targeting three main diseases, which is Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and also cardiovascular diseases. The way we want to do this is through affect-based micro tools, which are actually trying to recognize the mood of a person and adapt the system and the problems of the system to the person's need. To do all this, we created a low-level multisensorial system, which is able to integrate almost seamlessly new sensors that will be developed from other partners or from new technologies that will arrive. So the platform that we are creating, because this is what integrates the whole ecosystem, the open platform at the end, tries to empower citizens with tools that will increase their health condition. And this is a very long discussion during Tender, how we define condition, how we actually measure as objectively as possible the quality of life. Then protection by the detection and reporting of anomalies. So we are trying to not vaguely use AI, but more to use concrete machine learning tools and deep learning ones that will detect anomalies in behaviors and in people's everyday habits. Then we analyze, relate, and support the professionals in their decision-making process. So we're trying actually to coin here a term which is intelligence amplifications for the decision makers, which are humans that we try actually to make them not smarter, but to use their intellect, which is the good things humans have, more efficiently. And this we're doing through AI-based experience analysis. And then finally, we detect and interpret patients' emotions in order to try to personalize the experience with Tender. So this is what we are trying to do. And to be a bit more technical, this is how we do it. And we have a layered approach where the low-level subsystem is trying to integrate the signals from different sensors that are that do not provide signals which are in the same domain. We may have, for example, smart watches, and at the same time we might have depth cameras like the Kinect or the RealSense. And at the same time, we might have normal cameras, or we might have a voice recorder, or different wireless sensor networks that we can use for localization sensors, or different sleep sensors. So we have an abundance of sensors that you will see also later on, that we're trying to integrate them through on the low-level subsystem. Then we have the high-level subsystem, where the high-level subsystem is where we try to combine the signals that come from the sensor into something more semantically meaningful for the system. So we have the multimodal fusion, where we fuse input from different sensors, the data analytics and recommendation, where we're trying to create knowledge from the data, that the interoperable electronic health record, which also helps us to have previous knowledge on our patient, and the pathways registering, where we follow actually the patient towards the differentiation of its data. Quite important for the cardiovascular disease cases, but also for Alzheimer's patients, although it has more meaning for the CDD. Then, through all these ideas and modules that we develop, we provide services to the end users. So we have a virtual assistant, we have social service matching, which is very important because we can match people with practically the same conditions, or conditions that are alike, or problems that they perceive as being quite the same. And these are the ways that we're trying to match people in the same area, for example, that they can chat on their condition. And it was very, very well received from the patients. Then we have the pathway tracking with a direct feedback to the patient, not only to the caregiver or the medical personnel, but also to the patient. And it seems to be quite important, at least for people that can perceive what this tracking is all about. Then we have the data analysis and personalized recommendations, which go again to all the three end users, either the medical professionals or the patients or the caregiver. And also a legal awareness system, which is GDPR. Actually, it's the GDPR police officer, which tries to inform the user all the time if there are data that are sensitive and that may be traveling outside his house. So this is the main architecture of the system. Now, this is the interface of the application that we have developed. Unfortunately, we weren't able to create a live demo here due to the time. And then on the right-hand side of the screen, you see the low-level tender acquisition health tracking system, the well-known HITRA acquisition system, which is able to, and you will see also a video of that, which is able to integrate different kind of sensors into the system seamlessly enough by only writing a simple driver for HITRA to the system. So what we provide, it's an open platform. It uses open software and open development principles. So it will also be offered as an open platform once it is ready. Modularity, customizable services that can target both general variables to all diseases as well as specific disease needs. So actually, we can change the breadth of the system to apply it to different conditions quite easily, due to the fact that the way we are building our high-level modules, which are the smartness of the system, if you may, might be quite easily enough through the principles of machine learning and the main one, which is transfer learning, to be adapted to a new condition and also new kind of abnormalities. Scalability. For the scalability, we have massive pilots that we run. We already ran the first pilot. We are in about 350 patients that actually work with the program, and something more than 340 people that participate in the co-design process of the whole solution. Regarding the usability, we have defined multiple roles, and also we have, during the co-design stage, did focus groups in order to create interfaces which are focused to the people that will finally use, because there are totally different needs for the medical personnel, totally different needs for the caregivers, and totally different needs for the patients. And in order to integrate all this, it was a long talks with them in order to define what they exactly needed, and we get the initial feedback from the first pilots. Accessibility will facilitate the use of all partners with adaptable interfaces, as we said, and also by adaptable, we need to differentiate a bit with personalized, because personalized is kind of static. So I have a condition and I have a personalized interface, but adaptability is the fact that I get something a bit different from Monday to Tuesday, because I've changed as a person, my mood or my condition may degrade during Tuesday, but maybe better during Wednesday, for example. All these are quite adaptable in our system. Now, these are the sensors that are already integrated: the Kinect 2, the Kinect Azure, the Real Sense, the sleep tracker, the localization sensor, the wristband from Fitbit, a microphone, the binary sensors, which are very helpful, for example, in doors opening, windows opening, or even in pill drawers opening. This is how we use them. And also the environmental sensors, which can give us a feedback on the environmental conditions of the patient's home or the patient's room or whatever. Now, regarding the reminders of the alerts, we have a bunch of them that were dictated by the users, with the ones that are useful to them. And this is a small demo of the interface that we're using to integrate this. I need to tell you that it's in the low level. This is not something that the patient is seeing. We just want to show you here that actually we have the ability to integrate this seamlessly enough when a new sensor arrives, like the robots, for example, that Lawrence saw us earlier. It can be seamlessly integrated as a new sensor into the Hydra system by just writing a quite simple, a high-level driver for Hydra. It's quite straightforward. Actually, we calculated this exercise because its partner actually created the drivers for Hydra that he was responsible, and it was no more than 2 working days to integrate with that. So it's a selling point based on the feedback that we have right now. And actually, we expect Hydra to be something quite good for the future of Tender. Now, regarding the use cases, we have 3 chronic diseases, 5 different scenarios. So we have homestead, daycare center, rehabilitation rooms, and hospitals. 5 different pilots that this scenario will run. Madrid, 2 happens in Madrid, CERMAS and APM. APM is the Association Parkinson Madrid. Unitor, the University of Torre Vergata in Rome. SKBA, which is Sun Clinic in Bad Aibl in Bavaria, Germany, and the SPO, which is Spominčica in Ljubljana, Slovenia. The first wave of pilot is already completed. More than 140 patients, 100 carriers, and 100 professionals included in the co-design, and we're still doing this. And more than 350 patients were included in the pilots. So approximately about 1,000 people were included in the first wave of pilot, one way or the other. The second wave of pilot will start the next week, actually, and we're looking hopeful to that. So the challenges. Well, more or less everything has been said thus far. You know all what are the challenges. Uptake of technologies and sensors for the patients and caregiver, it's not straightforward. It might be quite problematic or quite dazzling the way that the patients are actually taking a new technology. We have seen that for the cameras, for example. People don't want the camera in their house, they feel spied, or people want the camera because they feel secure. So it is very, very difficult to persuade them. We find that indirect persuasion is more practical in the sense that if they sense that Tender is there for their security, for their feeling more secure, then whole adoption is easier. Installation test of the platform in the patient house in COVID era was a real challenge. It was very difficult to do that. The different rules in different countries changed everything, so we couldn't have a single approach. Different organizational barriers in the hospitals. This was quite problematic. In order to take the compliance from the ethical committees, we have a dedicated legal partner who organized this, because its piloting partner needed to go and talk with the ethical committee of the organization, the other two. The whole idea of fitting to different needs was crucial, and the adaptation of the system helped on that. Then the uneven availability of different ICT infrastructure and tools, this also posed a quite big challenge. And then the absence of open interoperability standards, which we are actually trying now to talk about it and to create, if possible, a standard which will be useful other than FP7 or HL7, etc. We think that it will make business model more concrete. So this is all from Tender. Thank you for listening. I'm open to questions.
Thank you very much, Nicholas, for the really nice and informative presentation. Is the platform also applicable for other chronic diseases? I mean, not only to Parkinson, Alzheimer. If yes, is it easily adaptable for other
Exactly.
use cases?
I think I said that during my my talk here, that the way we have developed our algorithms for taking the low-level information, which will be common for all diseases, and make it to something useful for specific diseases, it's quite adaptable due to the transfer learning techniques that exist in different machine learning approaches. We think, because we already tested it and it works, that we can easily go from one disease to the other for the alerting systems. So short answer is yes. Long answer is it can be adapted to.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions from the audience before we move to our very last presentation for today's webinar? If they're not such, I would suggest that we move to our very last project, and that is the Smart Bay project presented by Ioannis Kouris. Ioannis, the floor is yours.
Hi, this is Ioannis Kouris from ICCS. I'm here to present you the Smart Bay project. Sorry, do I change the slides or do you change the slides?
I can change the slides for you. Just please let me know when you want to do it.
Okay. Smart Bear is a large-scale project. It is integrating technological solutions supporting multi-orbit senior citizens. And we can go to the next screen, please. All right. So the seniors are vulnerable, and this is a social phenomenon that both influences and is also influenced by a range of processes and factors, which can be personal or external factors. So resources such as good mental health, physical health, and good coping skills, along with environmental factors that support the citizen and the senior, are more likely to make them more vulnerable. So in Smart VR, we are monitoring a series of diseases. We can go to the next slide, please. The participants are seniors over 67 years old, which have at least two conditions, and those conditions are CVDs, hearing loss, frailty, mild cognitive disorders, mild depression, balance disorders, low back pain, and COVID-19. So the project started with the first 6 of the conditions that are described here, and the balance disorders and the low back pain have been added as synergies with other projects. And COVID-19 is also a part of what we're doing to monitor COVID-19 due to the pandemic. We are planning to have 5 pilots in 6 countries. Spanish and Portuguese pilots are bonded together. Another one is in France, in Italy, in Romania, and in Greece. And as I mentioned, we're about to monitor 5,000 seniors. Those seniors are equipped with Smart Bear devices, which contain the Smart Bear application and smart devices that are connected either to the mobile phone or to an open hub that is placed at the home of the senior. And we can proceed to the next slide. And after some slides, I will give you more details on the devices that we integrate. So the objectives of the project are to reduce the morbidity through active monitoring of vital behavioral and environmental parameters, and by providing integrated care, and of course improving the quality of life throughout the living of the senior, with active prevention of the lifestyle and well-being activities. We can go to the next slide, please. So the pilots are in the 6 countries that I mentioned previously. There are online campaigns and advertisements along with open events in order to attract people to participate in the study. There are also face-to-face and remote meetings that have been scheduled, and they are part of the recruitment process of the elderly. And the target is to have 4,240 elderly people living at their home to be monitored, and another 670 elderly that are living in collective structures. So let's go to the next slide, please. On the side of the participant, as I mentioned previously, we have a series of conditions that we monitor, and the devices we equip the patients are a smartphone, a smartwatch, a thermometer, and an oximeter. Those are connected to the smartphone, and we also have smart blood pressure meters, digital scales, hearing aids, and home hub sensors that measure temperature, humidity, and motion in the house. Along with those sensors, we have also the HoloBalance sensors. HoloBalance and Smart for Health that I will mention in the next slide are 2 other projects that we cooperate with, and we consume data that are sent from those 2 projects in our platform. So in the SmartBear platform, we are getting data from the devices that we integrate in the system. And we also get data from the other 2 projects. So those data are transmitted into our platform using FHIR protocol. And in order to map them to our entities, we're using ontologies such as SNOMED, LOING, and ATC. FHIR, as you may know, is an open source platform. We're using open source repositories to store the FHIR observations, and in order to collect the data from the home of the patient and transmit it to our platform, we're using OpenHub, which is an open source IoT platform. There are a series of applications that are integrated into the smartphone that is provided to the patients, depending on the conditions that each of the patient or the mix of the conditions that the patient has. So, for example, for hearing loss, there is the Hearing Loss SmartBear app, which integrates applications for hearing rehabilitation, remote fine-tuning, and auditory training for those that are equipped with hearing aids. And the same goes also for the other applications, the other components actually of the main application. So let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, all right. So at the moment, we're running a small-scale pilot of pilots, as we call it. And this is in order to get the initial feedback from our patients, how they react with the system, solve any problems that appear in the first days of the application and the provision to the services to the patients. Here I would like to mention that the logic behind SmartBear is at first to provide rules-based notifications to our patients based on their condition and based on the measurements that we monitor from the devices. And the next step is to provide AI-supported decision tools to our clinicians in order to modify the notifications and the series of interventions that are provided to the patients. We have a dashboard. Via the dashboard, we register the patient into our pilot, and there are a series of questions that are replied during the initial recruitment of the patient. And there they can also personalize the ranges that will trigger the notifications and the alerts in our platform. The full-scale project is starting in the beginning of 2022. And at the moment, we have recruited almost 30 patients in Madeira in one of our pilot plots, and we actively monitor them in order to see that everything goes okay. We can go to the next slide. As I mentioned earlier in my presentation, we are also integrating data coming from two other projects. Smart for Health is one project that is actively running, and HoloBalance is another project that has recently finished. Smart for Health focuses on rehabilitation for the low back pain, and HoloBalance is another project that focuses on vestibular rehabilitation using augmented reality holograms. From both of those two projects, we consume the data and integrate them into our database. They are sending the data to us in file formats, and they're available to the analytics that are executed in the platform and to the clinicians that monitor each of the patients. And that was my brief presentation. I'm happy to reply to any of your questions. And as you can see, we're a big consortium. We have 27 partners.
Thank you very much for the very interesting presentation. Let's go quickly to the questions in the chat option. I see that Luke some questions for all of the presenters. Maybe we can just briefly go through the questions one by one and try to answer them, let's say, within the next 10 minutes. So the questions are for all platform providers who presented during today's webinar. The very first question of Luke is, what did you start it from? What did you decide to reuse as a platform and component? The questions you can find in the chat option. So if some of you, the platform providers, is able to answer to this question, would be great.
Can I answer? I can see the first question about the specific ontology, right? But you're not referring to that. Maybe I cannot see the previous questions in the chat.
Luke, could you please specify what you're trying to ask?
Yeah, I think the question about ontology was already mentioned. This was still when I think Professor Granrath was presenting. We were looking now at the very final or one of the final mentions in the chat, which are some questions from Luke around what people and what these projects or organizations have started from, and what they decided to reuse in terms of a platform, but also what they had to develop, let's say, on top of that or in addition, or what they had to adapt in order to make it work for them, let's say. And then the final point that he mentions is how can they then make sure that the end solution that they come up with is indeed part of an open and scalable ecosystem. So yeah, if any of you, from the point of view of your own projects or your own platforms, have any ideas of this, or have indeed encountered some of these things where you had to only use parts of certain platforms, or had to add on other things.
Okay, may I reply from Smart Bear side? Regarding the repository, we're using a Fire repository, and this is based on Happy Fire, that is an open source project. Regarding the part of the collection of the data in the home of the patient, we're using another open source project that is OpenHub. And the ultimate goal for us is to provide the source code of what we build as open source at the end of the project. Parts of the application that were not available and we had to build from scratch are the mobile application, and we had to integrate with SDKs of device vendors to get the data from their devices, and we also integrated with cloud services of the vendors to get the data from the APIs of the providers. There's also another question that goes to me regarding the preparation of the full-scale project. May I answer that now?
Yes, please.
All right. I mentioned that we're running a pilot of pilots to see how it goes with a small scale of patients. This is up to 50 patients. And to solve any problems that we face in the first steps of the project and the whole integration and notification, intervention, provision to the patients. And the full-scale project means that when we finish with these 50 patients that participate in the study, we are recruiting the 5,000 patients that are part of the whole pilot that runs in the 6 countries. And let me go back to the expandability of the project. I mean, how scalable it is actually. This was another question of yours. At the moment, we're running for our first version in Docker. We're using Docker in order to have all the modules running and interconnect and exchange data. And in the second phase, that will be part of the large-scale pilot, we're moving to Kubernetes. So we're ready to expand as much as we want. I mean, this is the final, the ultimate goal. And yeah, that's from my side. If you want any clarifications, please proceed.
Thank you very much for answering these questions. Are there any other comments regarding the questions asked by Luke? If there are no such, before closing this webinar in a very formal and fashionable way, me and Frederick would like to thank to all of you, especially the presenters, for the really insightful presentations, for your patience and the energy that you have invested in our long webinar. Certainly, we will use these insights and promote them through our communication channels. We would like to use also the opportunity to invite you to our upcoming matchmaking events. We will seek also to create a lot of publicity around these matchmaking events, so you can get in touch with your counterparts, with your future collaboration partners and customers. It will be really a pleasure for us to see if some of you have succeeded in establishing such collaborations. It was also great to see that there is already so much done in terms of technology which is being developed to tackle real-life challenges of high relevance for the various stakeholders in the active and healthy aging domain, and especially its potential socioeconomic impact for the European societies as a whole. So thank you very much one more time for your participation and valuable contributions, and we hope to see you very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All the best.
Bye-bye.